Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA podcast with me and Justin. And before we get started, just wanted to make a quick announcement. Justin actually has a fight coming up next week on October 21st, which is really, really exciting. And this fight is going down in LA, which is, in my backyard, which is super cool. So hold on, I'm just going to pop this open here. We have, that? Sorry. So he's going to be doing it at the Commerce Casino just outside of like main LA area. I'm going to be there. A bunch of his teammates and friends, and his son's going to be there. So that's really exciting. We're on a really cool path for since post surgery, right, Justin? So tell us a little bit about the fight before we jump into all these amazing topics in the world of MMA.
This has been the longest layoff I've ever had in my whole life of athletics. It's almost been 2 years since I competed. After neck surgery, the doctor wasn't sure that if I'd be able to compete at a high level again. Fortunately, my surgery went great. It's been incredible. As I was really facing that, that idea of not fighting ever again, man. When you undergo spinal surgery, like Mike Tyson said, it's spinal, like that's some serious shit, man. And I wasn't sure if I was ever going to be able to fight again. Fortunately, I had Andrew Jacoby, one of my good friends, and an athletic trainer, who's really put a lot of work into me to make sure that I'm ready to go, man. And, I feel strong. I went to Spain, in July and did a wrestling tournament. My neck held up. I was really sore afterwards, but it held up. Did some more rehab. I'm so excited. I'm fighting Chris Taco Padilla. He's 12-5. He's on a little bit of a win streak right now. He's the Up Next fighting champion. I'm coming in. I'm here to ruin his parade and take his belt.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I didn't realize this was a championship bout. That's super cool. Okay, by the way, just from the psychological aspect, because this is one of the elements of the sport that fascinate me so much. And I feel like I get a lot of inspiration from fighters like you when I'm dealing with my trials and tribulations in my business, and then I hear about this stuff, and it just feels like everything I'm dealing with is just nothing compared to what you deal with. So like, that idea, you went into the surgery, you didn't know if you'd ever fight again. I mean, that's like heavy. This is your career. This is everything. How do you deal? Like, what did you do to deal with that kind of, hey, if this doesn't go exactly right, I may never fight again. What does that do to you psychologically? How did you deal with it when you were in that uncertain area?
It's just one of those things. You just got to roll with the punches, man. I mean, it's a dangerous sport we live in. People are constantly getting injured. Injuries end a lot of careers early on. And, having the neck injury at, I was either 32 or 33 years old, getting cut by the UFC, losing my job, losing my contract. Basically, within 6 months, I lost everything that I've worked for my whole life. And I'd be lying if I sat here and didn't tell you I went into a deep depression, man. It's like when I wasn't fighting for the UFC, man, I'm back to making, $20,000-$30,000 a year, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to grind, man. And, I had the opportunity to just kind of retire from the sport and move on and get a real job. But my heart, my passion, and my fire are all there. And, at the end of the day, one of the things that there's a lot of perseverance that goes through this, especially with recovery from surgery. But, I want to set an example for all the up and coming kids, especially my son, man. It's like this soft ass generation coming up that they get a hangnail, man, and they want to hang it up. You know what I mean? This is kind of something that I'm doing not only for myself, but I want to show my son what real perseverance looks like. He's been there through all my surgeries. 3 years ago, I had nose surgery. 2 years ago, I had hand surgery. Now, this past year, I had neck surgery. Like, hey, all these surgeries, I could be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to break my bones anymore. Like, I'm done. But, I'm going to persevere through the storm. And I'm going to, when I wake up, the sunshine is going to be shining on me.
It's not only motivation for other fighters and for your son as well, but for people like me, I draw a lot of I know other people draw inspiration from it as well. Because like I said, we, as business owners, as employees, whatever we do, we go through our own trials and tribulations. And then just to see what you or what other fighters go through and persevere through, man, it's like, it's just amazing. It's inspirational. So kudos to you. And I can't wait to see you fight. I'm a little nervous, actually. I'm not going to lie. Never been to a fight where it was like a good buddy of mine fighting, but I'm very confident in what you can do. So that's cool. But yeah, I don't know what that's going to be like, but I guess we'll roll with it. And I'm sitting front row. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me. Awesome. Okay. Let's jump into the mix because it's been a while and God, the world is going crazy in MMA. I mean, I don't even know. We're gonna start with a non-MMA topic, and I got to be honest, I have just been totally obsessed with this fight since the fight build-up. Dillon Danis versus Logan Paul, and we had some crazy things go down yesterday, and even today at the weigh-ins. I don't know if you saw, but I thought the weigh-ins were pretty interesting. Logan came out wearing a mask. I'm guessing he wore it because of the eye injury and didn't want to show it and didn't want to expose it, so he kept the mask on. It was like an executioner mask. But yesterday was really wild at the press conference, and I want to get your thoughts because we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to wait till we were on air to talk about it. You know, from my perspective, Logan Paul hit Dillon Danis in the nuts with the bottle, and I know that's assault, right? He threw something at him, and to me, what Dillon was doing, granted, I mean, sure, it wasn't a smart decision, but he just reacted, right? And he had the mic in his hand. It's not like he grabbed it and it was in his hand. He just reacted and he took a swing and he caught him. So to me, I felt like, what are you going to do? It wasn't the best thought out thing, but he acted instinctively, and it is what it is. What are your thoughts as a fighter?
I saw him throw the bottle. I didn't actually know that it hit Dillon. I thought that it went by him. If this is new news to me, and then Dillon comes over and hits him with the microphone. I mean, man, it's becoming very, very WWE storyline. At first, I was intrigued. I was very like, wow, this is fucking incredible. This is incredible. But we look at the Sellers promotion. I don't give a fuck about Dillon Danis or Logan Paul. I don't care to watch them fight. And then finally, I started seeing with the girlfriend allegations going back and forth, him doing the Predator skit and all that. Like, all right, now I'm intrigued to watch it. Now that I'm starting to watch clips on Fight TV and all these other streaming platforms on Instagram, it just seems like they're overselling it now. Like, I was intrigued, but now I'm like, I'm not saying it's fake. And there's a good chance that I'm wrong. But this is just a different, being devil's advocate, looking at the other side. It's just getting out there. So, like, he brought Gordon Ryan to the face-off, and Gordon Ryan's going to make sure he doesn't grapple. Like, what? I mean, he's cut above his eye. Like, how bad is the cut? Like, when you see WWE guys go in, they get hit with the chair, they bleed too. And it's like, was it, again, I'm not saying that I think it was fake. But as devil's advocate, it just seems like it's getting way over the top, and the fight's already sold, but it's being sold so much that I'm almost losing interest, if that makes any sense, because I don't know what's real and what's not. You can't just walk up to somebody before a fight and hit him with a microphone. You just can't. Like, I mean, if he cut him and let's say Logan couldn't fight, do you know how much money he'll be sued for? He will lose everything.
But it's not, but it wouldn't have been. My thing is, they talked about that. Jesse actually talked about that, saying, hey, he could be sued. But it's like, it's not, I just felt like that would be unfair because he reacted. He got hit first. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I reiterate, I didn't see him get hit first. I saw the bottle go flying. I didn't see where it hit him. And yes, he did. But if the fight gets called off due to an eye injury or to a cut, Logan sue him for his show money. And show, what is it, $1 million, maybe 10 million, 100,000? I don't fucking know what it is. But does Dillon Danis have $1 million sitting around to cough up because now the fight's off?
I doubt he does. Maybe he does, actually. Who knows? But
still, I don't think he wants to be paying $1 million for nothing.
100%.
And the fight didn't go. I just think it was. I mean, I get it, dude. I've had so many face-offs, man. I get it, and there's some times I don't like the guy, but at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of professionalism. Me and Carl Deaton, we don't like each other. We have fought. Carl had no interest in punching me at the weigh-ins. I had no interest in punching him at the weigh-ins. We get to fight the next day and crack each other and try to hurt each other and break each other's bones. Why do it the night before and risk losing all that and all the money to go with it?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I think
I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just playing the other side for devil's advocate.
I'll tell you, I've been watching everything. I've been so captivated by this buildup. Some mixed emotions, but really captivated. I've been watching all of Dillon Danis's interviews. I gotta say, like, I really like his interviews, and I think he's done some great ones, and he's really entertaining. I don't think it's fake, although I could be a sucker, and I definitely could be, but it doesn't feel fake to me. Everything that's been Logan seems as to have developed sincere animosity and hatred towards Dillon. And I think his perspective is this is what I'm imagining has been going on, is that all this stuff has been happening to his fiance behind closed doors. She's probably been devastated and distraught about it, but not showing it publicly. Probably a lot of crying, a lot of emotional turbulence that he's privy to that nobody else is. And I think that's what's getting him so upset. And that's why he hates Dillon so much, because Dillon is just like, hey, I'm just promoting the fight. And he's saying some pretty outlandish stuff about her, but he goes on over and over saying it's just business. It's just business. I think for Logan, it's not like that anymore. And I think that's why it's just, as you're saying, it's just getting so out of control because there's a realness to it. Now for tomorrow, I'm pretty excited about the fight. We have seen no footage from Dillon, and I'm pretty sure that's intentional. He even in the open workout, he was just grappling and he wasn't boxing. And I don't know. I'm curious. Like most people are picking, almost everybody seems to be picking Logan to win, but I think it's quite fascinating because he's keeping it. Who knows? Maybe Dillon has been working on his. What do you think? Do you think there's a chance Dillon's been secretly working on his boxing and he's actually pretty good now?
I very highly doubt it. I mean, he looks soft at the weigh-ins. Logan's in shape. He's the bigger guy. He's the better athlete. It's very hard to transition from being a straight grappler. What is he, 1-0 in MMA? Like, with
2-0.
2-0, yeah. It's like with submission wins. Like, I just don't think that he's going to be man enough. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Dillon Danis starts getting his ass whooped and then shoots a takedown and slams Logan Paul just to get the fight called off. And then he's going to say, "Oh, I won the fight. I took him down." Like, that's honestly, like, if there's a betting line, I think this fight might get called by some tomfoolery right here. I think Dillon Danis has a plan of what he's going to do in this fight. I don't think it's going to be boxed. I'll be surprised. I mean, again, I like playing both sides of the coin, man. And I don't see any realm of possibility. I mean, of him being able to strike with Logan Paul. He's going to be too big. He's going to be too strong. But I'm sure he has some tricks up his sleeve. And I mean, look at Logan Paul boxed Floyd Mayweather, arguably the greatest boxer of all time. He went to the distance with him. I know he's 50 pounds bigger, but we're still talking about the greatest boxer of all time. Dillon Danis is 2-0 in MMA, and he doesn't strike in his MMA striking. I just don't think that he's going to be able to bring anything to the table but some tomfoolery.
Yeah, you're probably right. I still got to watch it. I'm still so intrigued.
As well. I'm commentating. I'm in Montana right now. I'm commentating for the Fusion Fight League. I got some big fights going on tomorrow that I get to commentate for, but I'm sure I'll have a little screen at the bottom of my prompter, watching this fight as well.
Yeah. 11 a.m. PST is when the main card starts tomorrow. So can't wait.
I'm watching that for sure. Where are they fighting?
In London.
Oh, no shit. Okay, well, be watching it.
Yeah. So, and it's funny too. I have a Muay Thai. Oh, I didn't even tell you about this, but I'm doing a Muay Thai training session, pure Muay Thai, tomorrow at 10 a.m. with a guy I met at the gym who used to fight on the Tiger Muay Thai team.
Oh wow, okay, hell yeah.
Yeah, out of Thailand. So yeah, I saw him wearing the shirt and I started chatting with him, and we're gonna start training. So I'm excited about that. But anyways, I'm gonna train, and then right after that, I'm gonna watch this craziness. So anyways, okay, let's move on. There's been so much crazy news. The next thing I want to talk about, we texted about it a little bit, but yeah, USADA is out and there's major drama, and I just want to get a fighter perspective. But by the way, since I saw some of the press conference yesterday with Hunter Campbell and Jeff Nowitzki, and I think they're going to, it's not that they're not obviously getting rid of testing, but I think they're going to another company, and I'm blanking on the name, but I think they also do like NCAA testing, maybe NFL. But anyway, so they're switching these organizations. But just quickly, like, what are your thoughts on this news? Do you think it's going to impact the UFC majorly, or what do you think?
I mean, I'm sure it's going to have some impact along lines. Somebody's going to be happy, someone's going to be mad. Regardless, I personally hate USADA. It's not that I hate what they're trying to do by keeping the sport clean, but I mean, they harass the fighters. I mean, I'll be getting ready for a fight. I was 2 weeks out, maybe 3 weeks out from my fight with Gavin Tucker. I'm drained. I'm dying. Boom, 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 7 o'clock in the morning. I sleep when I'm getting ready for a fight. I sleep till noon every single day. I need that recovery unless I have a training session in the morning. But for the most part, I need to sleep. And these motherfuckers are banging on your door at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. USADA. And if you don't answer, if you don't come to the door and answer, you get a strike. Once you get 3 strikes, you're suspended. It's borderline harassment. And I get it. I get it. But at the end of the day, So I didn't get tested from USADA my last fight in the UFC, but I got tested from the commission, the Nevada commission. So regardless if USADA is in or out, the fighters are going to be tested before the fight. They're going to have to piss clean whether the commission's doing it. I know they have a third party that they're talking about. I didn't know the name of the company, but I saw the guy. There was a specific guy's name that they were talking about. But yeah, this whole showing up at your house, like I was off camp. I had no fights scheduled. It was the middle of the summer. I took a vacation down to Mexico for 5 days, and USADA gave me a strike because I didn't let them know what part of Mexico I was going to. I told them I was going on vacation. I'm going to Mexico. I don't have a fight coming up. What do I need to check in for? And they strike because I didn't tell them what city I was going to be in. And it wasn't like it was hidden. It was on my Instagram. It was, whatever. It's just since I didn't directly tell them, I personally, and I think all the fighters will agree, USADA is more of a harassment company than.
Okay, so maybe this is going to be a positive thing. And I know they had the whole announcement saying it was due to Conor, and then obviously the UFC is refuting. I don't know what the truth is. I mean, the main thing is, I'm just hoping that the sport stays tenable for the athletes and it's still fair and everything is good. So it's good to hear from a fighter perspective. Okay, now let's move on to some crazy announcements for UFC. I think it's 294, right? That's the 21st. Let me just double check. I'm getting that number right. I always mix them up. Yeah, 294. So Abu Dhabi card. It's so wild. There have been major shuffles in the main and co-main event, but somehow the card is gotten, I think, better overall. I really want to see Islam versus Oliveira. We'll get to that next, but this is amazing. Khamzat versus Usman. So apparently, what's it called? Paulo Costa is out because he had a staph infection or some sort of infection in his elbow. He did show that on camera with the interview with Ariel Helwani. He was saying he wanted to fight, but obviously probably not able to. Khamzat versus Usman on short notice. Oh my God, incredible. And to me, it's incredible because, I mean, that's something he was calling out for. This is going to be a great, because Khamzat's probably my favorite fighter or one of my favorite fighters at a minimum. We're going to really see his ability and caliber here. Former champ, right? One step removed. What are your thoughts?
Love the matchup. I think both of these are upgrades on the card. I definitely want to see Islam and Oliveira again. Volk, Chael Sonnen, we'll get to that part, but let's talk about Khamzat Usman, excuse me. This is an incredible matchup for Khamzat. I really didn't care to watch the Paulo Costa fight. I think Khamzat was just going to grind him out, take him into deep water and finish him late in the third round, or maybe late in the second round, just gas him out. Wasn't very intrigued by that fight. This turnaround fight, we're talking about the ex-champ, Kamaru Usman, arguably one of the greatest 170-pounders. People say he's up there with George St. Pierre. I disagree with that, but I can see why there's an argument for it. Now, let's talk about Usman. This guy people keep talking about this short notice fight. It is a short notice fight, but Usman is a smart guy. He's not going to take this fight unprepared, because if he loses this fight, his title contention, the chance of him getting the title back is almost zero. I mean, not zero, but he's going to have to win a couple fights before he gets a shot, because he loses his title. He loses to Khamzat. Now he's on the back burner. I don't think that he would take a risk being out of shape or not ready for Khamzat, to lose his chance at getting a title shot back. I see Usman as a plus 285 underdog. Now let's talk about what Usman did to Burns, a former training partner. He whooped Burns' ass up and down the street, in my opinion. Khamzat had some issues with Burns. We take that into effect. Now, the way Usman dominated, I won't say dominated, but he beat him convincingly. Khamzat, I mean, it was a tough fight. Burns was in the fight the whole time. I'm taking Usman, especially at a plus 285 dog, the former champ. He deserves some respect. He's had some time off. This is I'm sure he's been training. I'm taking Usman in this fight.
Interesting. So, I mean, to me, I look at Khamzat as like superhuman. There's no way I could ever bet against him. I feel like that's what I felt since he first joined the UFC. I'm just like, man, he's gonna clean house. He's gonna run through everybody. Plus his personality, his intensity, it's just so overwhelming. But Usman is gonna be an interesting challenge. So you're taking him you're taking Usman at the plus 285. Now, one other thing I want to throw out there, food for thought. His coaches, Khamzat's coaches, came back. Now, I'm sure people say this all the time, but they came back and they were like, he didn't follow the plan. He didn't listen. He should have had a much easier time with Gilbert, but he continued to just want to stand and bang and whatnot. What are your thoughts on his coach at All-Star, previous coach, I guess, because he moved camps now. But what are your thoughts about his coach coming out and saying that? Do you lend it any credibility, or do you think it's just smoke and mirrors?
Dude, at the end of the day, Khamzat's a great fighter. He knows how to wrestle. He knows how to strike. He's going to do what he wants. It's a lot of times fighter abandon game plans, man. And at the end of the day, he's the one in there. And, it's probably just all BS right now. I mean, this is going to be an incredible fight, but I just can't see Khamzat beating him. Usman only has to win 1 out of 3 fights to make this a profitable bet. I just can't see Khamzat beating him that many times.
Wow. Interesting. Well, I can't wait. And if Usman does win, I mean, it's just wild. You never know, right? Like they're fighting at not at middleweight. They're fighting at middleweight. Who knows, right? Israel, he never wanted to fight Israel. Now Israel's not the champ. I mean, it's just crazy.
And that's what I was going to ask you about is the weight. Are they going to 170 or middleweight? I wasn't sure of the weight. Now that it's at middleweight, I'm still going to take Usman, man. He's a dog. He's a former champ, man. And Khamzat really got exposed against Burns. I mean, when I say exposed, I mean, he became human to me. Prior to that, dude, when he fought, who's the Asian guy he fought, where he picked him up, carried him over to Dana White.
Yeah. Why am I blanking on his name?
Only Jong or
I'm going to look it up right now. Hold on. I'm totally.
Regardless, like when I saw him do that, and because I've trained with that guy before, and that guy is a freaking stud. And for him, picked him up and carried him across the cage to Dana White and started talking shit. I was like you said, this guy isn't human. This guy is on a different level than all the other fighters. But then he fought
Li Jingliang.
Li Jing, yeah. And out of stud. I've trained with him in Extreme Couture. He is awesome. And so when Khamzat did that to him, I was just like, wow, this guy's the real deal. Now when he fought Burns, again, super still tough. It still won the fight. It still won the fight. But he was pushed. He was taken to the deep waters. You could see that the frustration on his face. You could see that he realized he was in a fight. And I imagine that Usman's going to try and put him in the same scenario, but with a little more pressure.
Yeah, I'm really, really fascinated to see it. I don't know. It's just the whole thing is wild to me, and I cannot wait to see it. It's actually the same night as your fight, so we'll be kind of watching maybe on our phones or something here and there in between, until potentially you go on. So it's the same night. Exciting, very exciting night. It's gonna be crazy. All right. Now we get to the final thing that we want to discuss: Islam versus Volkanovski Part 2. Again, like literally both of these short notice fights got announced so close to each other. So crazy. I saw an interview with Volk yesterday. And again, I love to listen to the fighters. I love to listen to the coach interviews. And I try and make my assessment based of who I think is going to win based on those interviews to the best of my ability. So it's almost like I like to take that psychological advantage. So with Volk seems to be thrilled. He said this is what he claims anyways, that he wanted to fight earlier than what he had scheduled regardless with Ilia Topuria. So he was happy. He felt like it came at the right time. So he was ready to go, fully trained, whatever. He has to travel, but that's that. Now, interestingly enough, I heard Javier Mendez, Islam's coach, talk about wanting to fight Volk again. And this is prior to the announcement. This is like a week or two ago. And he's like, he's like, I really want to get that fight back because I want to show definitively that Islam could 100% beat Volk. And like when I listen to him, I don't think he BS's. He just sounds so honest and so overwhelmingly confident. That makes me lean very heavily that Islam is going to really do well. Plus, it's a short notice, all these other elements. But that's where my mind is at. Like, I think Islam's going to do it, and I think he's going to do it very convincingly. What are your thoughts?
All right, so maybe you do know this, maybe you don't. Chael Sonnen about a month ago came out and said on his podcast that Oliveira was not going to fight. It was before any of these announcements were made. And there's a lot of backstories, with fighters being called. So, for instance, we have this fight coming up. Chael Sonnen comes out and says Oliveira is not going to fight. He didn't say it officially, but he says, I don't know if he was trying to think exactly how he phrased it, but he kind of hinted around that Oliveira was going to be out. With that being said, they're not going to lose this fight. That tells me that the UFC had already called Volk probably a month ago. Volk is too smart of a guy, just like the Usman fight. He's not going to take a short notice fight if he's not ready. This is his last chance to beat Islam. He's not going to get a third fight if he loses, especially convincingly here. And I know Volk wants to be the best pound for pound fighter in the world. So I think, again, there's some smoke and mirror here going on. I think Volk's training for this fight. I think that he's probably at least put half of a camp in. And again, he's not going to take this fight unless he thinks that he can win, no matter the amount of money. Because again, nobody, if he goes out there and gets smashed, he'll never be. If he loses and say he gets finished in the first round or second round, that pound for pound ranking is dropping. And he's the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. And I mean, if he loses a close fight again, he'll stay the same. But if he wins, he's going to be the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. And I know that's his goal. He just doesn't want to dominate the 145 division. He wants to be known as the number one pound for pound fighter in the world at all weight classes. And losing to Islam just takes all that credibility away. So this tells me that he's been training. I'm willing to bet, and I don't know this for a fact, but I was actually talking to the head coach at Extreme Couture, Dennis Davis, my head coach, the gym's head coach, just the other day about Chael Sonnen coming out and saying Charles Oliveira is going to be out. And this was before anything was announced. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if Dana called him fucking 6 weeks ago and he's like, hey man, you're our replacement. Start getting in shape. And you know what? The UFC has so much money. They could be like, hey, whether you replace him or not, we're going to pay your show money under the table in case this happens. I mean, these aren't facts. These are just things that could be happening to weigh into this. Because again, you look into Volk, why would he take this fight? Willing to lose everything when he can just wait at alert, pass this fight up. He can pass this fight and fight him early in the year in the spring when he has a full camp. But he's not doing that. He's taking a short notice fight. Volk's been training. Volk's going to be in shape. And I think I think this is another sleeper, man. It's like I think I'm going to parlay Usman and Volk. And I mean, it's going to be economical. It's going to be like plus 2,000, I bet. But at the end of the day, we're talking about Volkanovski, who to me is arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the world. And he's not stupid. He wouldn't take this fight out of pure being cock strong. He has to be ready, and he knows that.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're gonna take that parlay bet, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going, man. That's very interesting. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. You know, when they fought the first time, okay, and again, this was. Remember, we talked about this. I really felt like Islam looked slow. He looked off when he fought him. And then that whole thing came out about the IV. And you talked about how when you've had an IV before, it kind of messed you up. You felt nauseous. You felt weird.
Heavy.
And that's what he looked like to me. But I feel like I'm in the minority because not many other people said that. So I could be wrong, right? I'm not a professional fighter, but I really felt like he looked so slow.
I agree with you entirely. He came out looking good, but as the rounds went on, man, exactly. He just looked sluggish. He looked slow.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when you add all that extra weight, especially those, I mean, when you do an IV, you're putting liters of water right into your blood system. Like when I did it the one time, when I did it, early in my career, I felt like I think the next day I weighed in 155 pounds. I was 185 pounds the next day. And dude, I couldn't hardly walk. My muscles were swollen. I just felt stiff. I felt heavy. Luckily I was able to get out of there with a win. But at the end of the day, man, that slows you down. Volk definitely looked like he was slowed down, or not. Islam definitely was slowed down that first time. And we'll see how his weight cut goes this time. Hopefully better weight cut. I know Volk's hoping he doesn't. He wants to fight that slower paced guy where he can apply some pressure, but we'll see, man. That's why they get in there and do the dance.
Exactly. Okay. Well, a lot of stuff going on. Very exciting. And just to let everybody know as well, for the 10-7, I know we got a pretty small following so far, but we got some stuff cooking. We're going to get a manager to help us manage the show and kind of create thumbnails and streamline everything. And we're going to get a consistent show going here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So look out for that. If you do like what you see, I would say to subscribe right now is a great time because we're about to really kick it off and really get this thing going because it's what we love. I mean, you love it even more in a different way, right? You're an actual participant in the fighter, but I love the sport so much, and it's just so exciting. And man, what a year it's been. So make sure to subscribe and follow along on our journey. And that's all we got for you guys today. So thank you so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.
See you guys.